lack of spring practice and the lack of training camp. I think you're starting to see that now. And, just continue to work and do as much. Our sports science people are excellent, and try to make sure they don't happen again.
Thank you. All right, next is Greg Allman.
Hey, Bruce, you mentioned the block punt that Pat had last night, but overall, I know you had the missed extra point, the blocked extra point. I want to ask you about special teams. It seemed like that's an area where you've taken a big step forward since the first game. Yeah,
no doubt. I take that one play out on the extra point. I thought it was a major win for special teams. Not only the block punt, we had a punt return inside, set up a score. One bad penalty, or we'd have run that punt after the safety all the way up to midfield. So I think Mick did a good job with his punt returns, handling the ball, and I thought Bradley Pinion had a hell of a game with the touchbacks and 3 punts inside the 20. We pinned him back there all day. So yeah, our special teams, I thought, really, really won the battle.
Thanks, Bruce.
Next is going to be Jim Lane.
Hey, Coach, 11 sacks through 2 games. What is working so well for your guys up front? Is it just the fact that they're all together and they're healthy? Is it the guys on the back end, having more of a familiarity with what they're supposed to be doing? What do you think is contributing to that most?
I think all those things, the coverage, the front, and it's a bunch of different guys. I think Todd's doing a great job of putting players in position to get good matchups. Will Golson's got sacks, Vita's got sacks, Sue's got sacks, both outside backers, inside backers, and safeties. So it's a matter of pick your poison, who you want to try to block, because somebody's coming from somewhere.
Well, and speaking of that, last year it was Shaq Barrett was the guy. JPP wasn't out there, and he was the guy that was, getting all the stats and the sacks, the 19.5 sacks. But this year it's kind of spread amongst the group and everything. Have you noticed that kind of the way teams are lining up against you is different than last year?
Not really. Shaq was getting some extra attention early, and then JPP came, and the interior guys were getting some. So we had so much interior pressure. They tried to single block Shaq a few times, and many paid for it. He caught him on the bootleg, and then Devin got a great push up the middle, and Shaq fouled him for the safety.
Thank you so much.
Mm-hmm.
And next is going to be James Palmer.
Hey, Bruce, a play kind of jumped out at me when Devin White fell down and then ended up getting back up and chasing Royce Freeman down the field. Can you kind of talk about maybe that play and the effort that kind of shows some of the guys on that side of the ball play with?
Yeah, he better get up and catch him, because he would have never lived that down in the film room. We were all out blitz, and he tripped, and his guy got out. But he has such great speed. He ran him down. He looked like he was running mud, But yeah, that's a play that Devin can make. He made that great play in Seattle last year where he chased the guy down and caused a fumble. So his speed is always going to show up.
And with Gronk getting involved in the passing game, when you go back and kind of watch the film, is he one of those guys that with a year off, now that he did it in a sense in a game, it's kind of one of those things that can kind of come back and snowball for him, the feel of being out there and catching balls in a game environment?
No, I think it's just individual games. This was a double team Mike Evans game again, and the middle of the field, those guys worked it over pretty good. And I think part of it is getting in game rhythm, but it was more the way they tried to play us that the tight ends got so involved.
Thanks, Bruce.
Next is going to be Luke Easterling.
Coach, I think any person who's been a Bucs fan for a long enough time felt there were moments in these last 2 games where this is where the game gets away. This is where the other team comes back, and this is where things kind of go awry. Both times your team was able to slam the door to get the win, to make the plays. What does it say about the culture of this team, the way you and Jason have built this roster, that you're the type of team that doesn't let that happen right now?
Yeah, I think a very, very hungry team. And, we have relaxed a little bit, but then we have the ability to notch it back up. And, the coaching staff does a great job on the sidelines of keeping it motivated, keeping it full speed, attention to detail. Those things don't happen. And, having been a part of it in the past couple of times, we don't accept that anymore.
Another thing I think Bucs fans don't take for granted is those gimme kicks that you've talked about before, the 30-yard, the 40-yard field goals. What can you say about the way Ryan Suckup has performed these last few weeks and the fact that those appear to be right now to be automatic like they should be?
Yeah, that was always his forte. You know, he had that long streak of 50-some, and you know, we expect it from him every time. So yeah, and again, he's getting some more pop in his leg now. The more and more he practices, more and more he works out. So yeah, we're really excited about knowing that we got 3 points. And
Okay,
hopefully
next is gonna be Casey Hudson.
Hey, Coach. I was just wondering, what standout improvements do you plan to build off of following yesterday's win?
we got a lot of areas we can improve on, eliminating some penalties offensively, and just continue to grow offensively. Defensively, just that lapse before the half, where we gave that touchdown after a 3rd and 20 play, and not allowing those things to happen. So teams can't get back in ball games, and but yeah, we got room to improve in all 3 phases.
Yeah, and it's still early, but do you have any thoughts about being number 1 in the NFC South and, you know, your efforts to kind of stay there?
Yeah, once you get there, you want to stay there. So, you know, we got 2 in a row. Let's get 3 in a row.
All right, next is gonna be Ed Encina.
Bruce, it looks like you're going to have fans in the stadium at Raymond James for the first time this week. I know you've talked a lot about, you know, wanting them there, but obviously, you know, keeping it safe. You know, how much are you looking forward to that, I guess?
Yeah, it's going to be great. You know, just the ones that can get in. I know how excited our fans are. You see it all around town, and to hopefully get more and more each week, and keeping them safe and knowing how to keep them safe, and hopefully the ones that come in are smart enough to keep themselves safe, so that we continue to add more and more fans in the stadium.
And Bruce, I know, you know, you've mentioned in talking about Antoine Winfield, you mentioned, you know, guys like Tyrann Mathieu, you know, Budda Baker, some of those guys. I mean, what reminds you about this kid at 22 to maybe what you saw from some of those guys when they were younger, and just his ability to kind of adapt, you know, like he did, you know, yesterday with moving around?
Yeah, they both played the same position. They both were very, very mature, heady football players. They came in and you couldn't overload them. They studied and were overly prepared. And the same thing with Antoine. You see the same type of player, the same type of makeup, the same preparation that he puts in. So I think that's a very easy comparison for us, having drafted those guys and drafted him.
Thanks.
Next is gonna be John Ledyard.
Bruce, if after reviewing the tape, if Sean Murphy-Bunting couldn't go this week, do you feel pretty good about the way you deployed that secondary group with Antoine Winfield moving mostly to the slot and Mike Edwards playing mostly deep?
Yeah, I'm very, very comfortable with that. You know, hopefully we don't get another injury where we start getting thinner and thinner. But yeah, very. Mike did a great interception, and I knew he'd play well. He's been waiting for his shot, and Antoine's an excellent nickel. So it doesn't. We don't miss too much. We obviously lose a really good player in Sean, but we have capable backups there.
It seems like last year play action, I know when you look at the numbers, the rates, you guys weren't one of the highest teams in the league, but it seems like this year, even though if you're not doing it all the time, feels like it's been really effective for y'all. Is that something you wanted to make sure you got incorporated in the offense?
Oh, definitely. You know, Tom's been a great play action guy for the last few years, and you know, play action is only good if you're running the ball. So I think we've been running it adequately, better than we have in the past. So it should set up more and more play action.
All right, we have time for 2 more questions. We're going to go to one with Greg Allman and one with Jenna Lane.
Hey, Bruce, Tom mentioned that he got to see Peyton briefly before the game last night. I was going to ask if you got to see him, and just want to ask you, as he does this second chapter at the end of his career, how neat it is he's been able to talk to Favre and Peyton, 2 of the best to do it in the past.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, we had a good huddle in the tunnel. Tom Moore, Clyde, Tom Brady, myself, Griff, and Peyton and the kids, and it was great to see him. And you know, his post-life career has turned out pretty good. He might be a better comedian than he was a quarterback, but he's a great guy, and love seeing him.
All right, last one's going to come from Jenna Lane.
Yeah, Coach, along the lines of Antoine Winfield, I know that he hadn't really played in a game at the nickel position as a pro, but What percentage would you say, because I know we cross-trained during training camp, what percentage of snaps do you think he got in camp at that nickelback position? And also, how often is it that you come across a guy that can blitz off the edge the way he does? You can trust him in coverage. He's got the ball skills, and he's a sure tackler like that.
They're very rare breed, and the guys I compared him to were, all pro players, and that's what he's capable of doing. But there's about 50% of the snaps. He ran second nickel with all the twos the entire training camp.
Thank you.
All right, that's all for today. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.